Alright, so we're back in the workshop, and there were a few users that were, this is a common thing that people end up doing when they're engraving, is they get a request to do a tapered cup. So I'm going to go over this verbally, and with it was already engraved. So, I have an eleksmaker, Elex rotate unit, and a lot of the guys that I talk to are on the ortur forum, and they have a very similar one. I can't guarantee that all the settings will be the same because I know that the roller diameter is different, and probably what I just say, the gear ratio, that how many steps per millimeter, or the z-axis revolution. I say z-axis because I'm plugging mine into a 3-axis and I don't have a z-bed. So I can just plug it, leave it into the z-bed, whereas most users with a 2-axis board plug it into the y-axis. The one thing that I kind of glossed over with this is optical distortion. When you put a flat image on a curved surface like this, you usually have to stretch it about 15%. Well, I arrived at that 106 millimeter figure because I know that I wanted to wrap that basically around the glass, to where if you turn the glass very slightly left or right, then it comes out and it looks very nice. So the other thing about tapered glasses, and you'll get this with like geometric shapes like circles or squares or something, is if you pinch and drag those two corners, left and left, I couldn't say how much, you'd have to experiment, maybe about 15-20%. It'll help with the optical distortion that occurs down here with geometric shapes like if something's like a portrait of somebody's face in there within a circle, the circle might end up looking pinched at the bottom because of that. So you can help correct that by dropping that down. And I typically increase the Y length about 15% if it's an image, or if it's something that I can just stretch to half of the glass, or however I want to do it, then that's how I do it. Okay, so in Lightburn, we have roller, enable rotary. Mine's plugged into my z-axis. 40 millimeters per rotation. I have a 12 millimeter roller diameter. Now my object diameter, I just measured the top of the glass, measured the bottom of the glass where it's going to engrave, and then got an average figure. That figure is 74 millimeters. And then we have 232 is the circumference. So you really want to limit yourself to half of the circumference, typically, which should be like, 115. And then, take off a little bit, so maybe 105. So we want our max to be about 105, so this is 105 here. And how do you get this number 40? Like on mine, it's a 1-to-1, and I know the ortur users that are watching this are going to be saying, well, you have to figure out the gear ratio of that, but Lightburn takes care of it as long as you accurately measure the roller diameters. And then your object diameter, you have to measure the top of the area to be engraved and the bottom of the area to be engraved, and then come out with the average. And I want to show you that you will lose your home position because of the way that the object gets torqued on by the rollers. Let's see, we have this all marked out with a Sharpie, and bam, we're gonna now you see how it lost that home position by a few millimeters. I believe it's because the gear ratio changes when it torques one way or the other as it's driving it backwards and forwards. That means that if you need to do multiple passes, this is a no-go. But for a single pass, if you go nice and slow, do a speed and power test, and know exactly where you'll come out with a single pass engraving on it, you can totally do tapered glasses, and that's how I do it.